morning, everyone, and welcome back to Wake and Take. It's your boy, Jason, and we've got some football to talk about today. Today, we are flag planting. I've got 10 players that I am, putting my neck out there for. We are putting ourselves on the line for these 10 players that are ready to break out, succeed, however you want to put it. These are the flag plants. So go ahead, take out your coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Yep, sorry about that, everyone. It took literally 20 minutes just for my computer to boot up this morning. I used my laptop to prepare for Wake and Take, and then I boot up this desktop to go get going around 9:30 just so it warms up. But today, it just did not want to load. It was taking forever, and then, of course, once it finally loads, then it's slow. So anyway, your boy's got outdated technology. You can see Robster in the chat. He actually helped me build this computer in high school. So it's this is like a 9-year-old computer at this point, but it works just fine. You know, sometimes this is a little slow. We're here. We're here to talk some football, and it's going to be good. It is going to be good because it's week 1, baby. It is week 1, baby. Football in just a couple days. It is going to be huge. It is going to be huge. We've got Chiefs Ravens. So again, just to kind of recap, this week we're doing take week. We're going through doing basically the SEO dream. Yesterday, I recommend checking it out. We predicted the biggest bust and the biggest value per position. Today, we're doing the flag plants. Tomorrow, we're finalizing my rankings. Thursday, we'll do a little bit of week 1 preview since we got Thursday Night Football going on. And then finally, on Friday, we will predict the awards and all that stuff, some 2024 hot takes and everything. So gear up for a great week here on Wake and Take. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into these flag plants. We'll start. I know there's news stories, but screw the news stories. We're just going into the flag plants. We're just going to start with, how do I want to start? These are all just fun players to talk about. Let's go with like kind of my lowest conviction one, I guess. We'll start here. I'm putting Will Levis mostly as a Titans take, but I wanted to flag plant him in general as, you know, he's going to be the one, you know, running the ship. He's going to be the one kind of putting everything together on this Tennessee offense. And that's what I'm most excited about. I think that this Tennessee Titans offense in general this season is gearing up to be really, really good for fantasy. We'll find out what it means for the win column and actual NFL and stuff. But this team has signaled nothing but their desire to pass the ball this season. Of course, they hire Brian Callahan out of Cincinnati to be their new head coach. Then, of course, they upgrade the offensive line in the NFL draft. They bring in Calvin Ridley. They bring in Tyler Boyd. They replace Derrick Henry with Tony Pollard. So now the backfield is just 2 pass catchers with Tyjae Spears alongside him. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they shore up the secondary. They get Algerius Sneed and washed up Jamal Adams to help in the safety position. So really, again, everything this Titans team is doing is saying that, hey, we're tired of the Derrick Henry, Mike Vrabel Titans that we used to be. It's time for a new era that is going to pass and 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 pass again. And that's, of course, just going to start with Will Levis. You know, I like DeAndre Hopkins a lot this year. I'm starting to warm up to Calvin Ridley at his cost. I think Tyler Boyd is an excellent late-round dart throw and just someone to trade for in Dynasty if you just want some points. And then, of course, I'm loving Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears as pass-catching running backs. I really do find a lot of value in this offense when it comes to the passing part of it. And so, again, Will Levis is where we're going to be planting our flag there for this offense as a whole. You can get him right now as the quarterback 24, and that's just incredible value. If you can make him your quarterback 3 in a super flex league, you are golden. Very good as a quarterback 2, but especially as your quarterback 3, I mean, you are living the high life with him as on your bench, because I do think we'll see a lot of ceiling from him this season as he's got great pass catchers, a much better offensive line, and his new head coach is very, very pass happy. As we saw in Cincinnati, even Jake Browning was able to average the 15th most points per game last year with 16.8, had himself almost 2,000 passing yards, 12 passing touchdowns in only 9 games played. So, you double that essentially, and you get almost 4,000 passing yards, so over 20 passing touchdowns, and top 15 points per game performance. If you could give that to Will Levis, then we're talking about a huge season. So we're planting our flag on him and really this Tennessee Titans offense as a whole. But as I said, kind of just starts with the mayonnaise man himself, So we will be targeting him heavily and, of course, have been all offseason. Now let's go ahead and move on to a player that, I guess we'll move up in conviction. Why not? And so we'll start with, or move on to Cooper Kupp. And this one, unfortunately, all offseason was one of my most heavily, highly convicted, I had the most conviction. Yeah, I don't want to say the convicted thing. I know I'm wrong about that. I know if you say you're convicted, that's actually not the right term. You're supposed to just remains with conviction. Whatever. Cooper Kupp was the player I was drafting the most really this summer. And then Puka Nacua unfortunately picked up that small injury, and it led Cooper Kupp to be drafted a lot higher and kind of his value catch up to where he should be. So it's hard to call this a flag plant now. It's a lot tougher given the price it's taken to acquire Cooper Kupp more recently. But over the summer and everything, Cooper Kupp has been my biggest flag plant. Really, I have over 40% exposure to him in best ball, most of the time coming 4th, 5th round. Now you have to get him in the 2nd or 3rd. It's been kind of painful to watch the rise, to be completely honest. I was hoping this is something that would stay quiet all year or all off season, but it didn't. Puka Nacua picks up the small injury and Cooper Kupp starts to rise again. Now, here's the deal. While he is the wide receiver 14 right now in ADP, I still think that's a decent value. This is a player that just a few seasons ago had the Triple Crown. He was the wide receiver 1. In fact, was the fantasy number 1 scorer over all the quarterbacks. I mean, this is a true stud wide receiver. And I know that he's getting up there in age, but his play style is one that ages gracefully. And we saw even last year with Puka Nacua's record-breaking rookie season that Cooper Kupp was still able to be productive. He missed 4 games last season and was playing at less than 100% and still was finished 9th in red zone targets amongst all wide receivers and ran the 15th most slot snaps, showing that he was very clearly on the field and relied on heavily. Also, if you look at games with that both Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua were on the field, Cooper Kupp actually had more games with 10 or more targets than Puka Nacua. Kupp did it 4 times when they were both on the field. Puka Nacua only did it 3 times. So Cooper Kupp is someone that I think is going to have a really, really good season. Last year, again, less than 100%, missed 4 games, but was still 23rd in points per game. And that's awesome, right? He had multiple 20-point games, had a few of those ceiling performances still. Now he's fully healthy. Puka Nacua has broken out, so defenses will have to, defend him a lot more. And so it's really like both of these guys, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, I'm expecting top 15 seasons from pretty easily. And I can see that Cooper Kupp, being top 10 again, really, to be completely honest with you. Again, he very heavily relied on in the red zone, very heavily relied on in terms of running routes, very heavily relied on in terms of target share. I mean, the offense revolves around Cooper Kupp. Puka Nacua is still going to Cooper Kupp's house to learn and to pick his brain. He's the alpha here in Los Angeles, and so I want to plant my flag on Cooper Kupp as well. I'm not giving up on him yet. I still think that there's plenty left in the tank, and those of you especially competing in dynasty leagues that are able to, scoop him up for fairly cheap, you'll be very, very happy that you've done so. Get Cooper Kupp on your dynasty rosters for sure, and congratulations really to those of you like myself who were drafting him all off season at a discount. Now he's, understandably a lot more expensive. And that's why, like I said, kind of less conviction now with the cost, but still I expect, him and Puka Nacua to be fairly neck and neck throughout the year. And I really wouldn't be surprised if Cooper Kupp actually outperforms Puka Nacua when it's all said and done. So Cooper Kupp doing some good things this year, highly expecting it. Just excited for the football season, guys. It is almost here. We'll move on now to the next one. Let's go with Kamani Vidal. This is one that I think is interesting. Kamani Vidal is going to be the bell cow running back for Los Angeles at some point this season. And we all expected that all offseason, right? Or not all offseason. Early in the offseason, following the NFL draft, when he got picked by the Chargers, Kamani Vidal was like everyone's sweetheart. But he regrettably had a pretty quiet offseason due to injuries and then also just the Chargers kind of being quiet as a whole. So Kamani Vidal just wasn't able to make any noise, and Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins stayed healthy. And, there were the rumors that he was going to get cut. He doesn't get cut. Obviously, we talked about it. We knew he wasn't going to get cut, even with those rumors. It's just the media being the media. And yet, at the end of the day, nothing's really changed. No matter what, we were drafting Kamani Vidal in rookie draft season with the expectation that it was going to take a few weeks before he sees the field, and it was probably going to take at least one injury for him to be highly productive. Nothing has changed. That is still the case. And yet somehow Kamani Vidal continuously falls and falls and falls in best ball drafts, getting cheaper to acquire in dynasty leagues, being dropped in dynasty leagues. I mean, it's ridiculous. We have gone too far. So I'm just here to, remind everyone, Kamani Vidal is still the same player that we were drafting him to be, still in the same situation that we were drafting him to succeed in, and still will succeed this season without a doubt. Kamani Vidal, 5'8", 213 pounds, runs that 4.46, best comparable Isaiah Pacheco on PlayerProfiler.com, and is coming off a year where he had 1,600 rushing yards and 15 touchdowns on top of 200 receiving yards at Troy, leading all running backs in rush yards in college football last season. Highly, highly productive running back, had no injuries in college even, was able to play every single game and stay durable, handling massive workloads. This is a bell cow profile running back on a team that projects to run the ball a lot. And his only people ahead of him, 29-year-old Gus Edwards, who sucks, and J.K. Dobbins, who gets hurt every single year and looks like 70% of the J.K. Dobbins is old. Kamani Vidal has juice. Kamani Vidal has size. He has a great landing spot, and everything is exactly how it was and still will remain a fairly difficult, but also when you think about it, an easy path to success. So we're officially planting our flag. We're not getting off the Kamani Vidal hype train, and we're getting very, very excited for him to do well this season. So go ahead and get him, guys. Go ahead and get him, guys. It's serious. It's ridiculous. I see here that it changed because people said he's a special teams player. That's how it always is for backup running backs. That's how it always is. They have to make the roster on special teams. Okay? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Forget about it. This guy is going to be the running back at some point. Do you guys really think that Gus Edwards is going to survive the whole season? Do you really think that J.K. Dobbins is going to stay healthy the whole season? No. And even if they don't have the juice and athleticism that Kamani Vidal brings at this point in their career. Don't give up on him. Get him if you can. I see a question. Should I drop Polk for Vidal? No, not Polk. I'm sure there's someone else on your roster that you could drop. I mean, I want you to get Vidal. And I mean, honestly, I probably have Vidal ranked ahead of Polk. But, also markets and roster ownership and all that stuff comes into play. Polk definitely a little bit more expensive than him right now. So I wouldn't do an outright drop. I'm sure there's someone you can get rid of to get Vidal on your roster. And then this is a great point, Scott. So why don't we use that as a segue? Vidal's a lot like Jaylen Wright in Miami, who is my next flag plant. Jaylen Wright, I mean, we have been pretty consistent on this all offseason. So if you've tuned in to Wake and Take It All, you know that I am a stan for Jaylen Wright. And it's, it sucks because last year on the show as well, we were very much in on the Devon Achane. Everyone was fading him and we weren't. We were like, this is a player who was able to stay healthy in the SEC. His frame clearly didn't stop him there. And he has home run hitting speed. He's going to be awesome in this Miami offense. And the same logic applies here for Jaylen Wright. I don't care that Devon Achane is ahead of him. I don't care that Raheem Mostert is ahead of him. This is a Miami Dolphins offense that has shown that they use a committee. Last year, Raheem Mostert only had a 53% opportunity share. Devon Achane only had a 40% opportunity share. Jaylen Wright's going to have opportunity in this offense with or without an injury, okay? We're even hearing reports all offseason that Devon Achane is doing work as a slot receiver. So there'll be times where Devon Achane's lined up as a wide receiver and Jaylen Wright's in the backfield, right? Or Mostert, whatever. But still, this is an offense that heavily uses their running backs, okay? And then also, Jaylen Wright has something that the running backs ahead of him don't have. Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, both very, very small running backs. Jaylen Wright is the opposite. He's 5'11", 210 pounds, and has the same home run ability that those running backs do. He's 5'11", 210 pounds, but runs a 4.38 40-yard dash, okay? He averaged over 7 yards a carry in college. In the SEC at Tennessee, had over 1,000 rush yards and 20 receptions last year. This is a player you want on your team because not only will he have opportunity with or without an injury, He'll probably get the injury will probably happen. Raheem Mostert's 32 years old and has not been able to stay healthy throughout most of his career. And Devon Achane suffered 3 different injuries alone last year: knee sprain, shoulder sprain, toe soreness, bruised ribs, right? And then this is also an offense that us as a fantasy community are always wrong on. Last year, everyone was drafting like Jeff Wilson over Raheem Mostert and kind of fading Devon Achane, right? The year before that, it was Chase Edmonds over Raheem Mostert. And now this year, we're drafting Raheem Mostert because of what he did last year and not pricing in his age and injury history. Devon Achane's going in the 3rd round, even though he can't handle a full NFL workload. He's demonstrated that. Get Jaylen Wright while you can, guys, seriously. And I know 4th-round draft capital is nothing to write home about. Well, think about it this way. They actually traded next year's 3rd to get Jaylen Wright. That's what they traded for that 4th-round pick. So think of it like, they used a 3rd-round pick on Jaylen Wright. The Miami Dolphins clearly want to use him. He looked incredible in the preseason. Speed for days, size for days. Get yourself some Jaylen Wright on your team, guys, before it's too late. Man, we're having a fun one today. And so I see a question here. We'll maybe use this to segue back. Vidal or Fant. We'll go with Vidal for sure. But anyway, speaking of, we got off the Chargers already. I should have. The Jaylen Wright threw me off. Someone already bringing him up. But I had another Charger that I wanted to talk about, and his name is Justin Herbert. Now, where is my overlay? Where's Justin Herbert's overlay? I have to re-add it. Hold on, guys. Bear with me here. But Justin Herbert is another player I want to talk about. What are we doing? What are we doing? Why is Justin Herbert so cheap right now? Why is he the QB 17, QB 18, wherever you really look right now? Why is this happening? Seriously, someone, please put in the chat why this is happening, because I don't understand it. Justin Herbert has the record for most passing yards throughout a quarterback's first 4 seasons. Okay? He has been on pace for 4,000 passing yards every single season in the league. One of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen. In his 2nd year, had over 5,000 yards and 38 passing touchdowns. And now he finally has a good head coach. And I understand that people are like, oh, well, Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman, they're run-heavy coaches. Okay. The 49ers last year ranked 32nd in pass plays per game, and yet Brock Purdy was still very relevant and leading the league in many passing categories. And I understand also that Justin Herbert here had the foot injury. He was this price before the foot injury too. And so I understand he's lost a little bit of value because of that, but he's playing. And that's the whole deal with this injury when it came out. We talked about it on this show. He has plantar fasciitis, okay? That is an injury that is usually played through, and it's just about pain management. Well, Justin Herbert always has something like this, right? Playing through broken ribs. He played through broken ribs and was good. In fact, Justin Herbert is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Plain and simple, really. And again, I understand that Jim Harbaugh, Greg Roman, these are these coaches that everyone's like, oh, they're going to run the ball a ton. Sure. Yeah, whatever. That's what they've done historically. But also historically, their quarterbacks have been Lamar Jackson and Colin Kaepernick, mobile quarterbacks. So, of course, you're going to run the ball more. And then also, it's not like Justin Herbert doesn't have wheels. We saw his rookie season and his 2nd season. In fact, every season, he's had multiple rushing yards, getting some rushing touchdowns as well throughout his career. And yes, he lost Keenan Allen, often injured. Okay, he lost Mike Williams, often injured. He was fine. Last year, 3,000 passing yards in only 13 games, on pace for over 4,000 without Mike Williams, without Josh Palmer, literally just Keenan Allen, right? And then Keenan Allen got hurt and he was still fine. Josh Palmer is decent enough. DJ Chark is decent enough. And Ladd McConkey is like everyone's favorite darling in fantasy football. Like throughout rookie drafts, I saw Ladd McConkey going in like the 1st round. So I don't want to hear the wide receiver core got worse. There's weapons there. And when you have a quarterback like Justin Herbert, it doesn't matter. Look at Patrick Mahomes last year and what he did with whoever the Chiefs receivers were. I think Ladd McConkey is going to be fine. Josh Palmer will be fine. DJ Chark, I think, is someone that we should be taking later in drafts. The run game is just going to help make this offense more efficient in general. The fact that you can get Justin Herbert so late, that you can acquire him so cheap in Dynasty, I just think is ridiculous. I really got to say, you've got to acquire Justin Herbert while you still can, planting that flag on Jay Herbo. Moving on, since we're talking about, I guess his Chargers receivers getting worse, why don't we talk about the alpha in Chicago, Rome Odunze? Am I really scared of Keenan Allen if I'm a Rome Odunze manager? Hell no. Are you serious? Keenan Allen, a player who's been injured basically every single league in the year he's been in the league. Keenan Allen, who's 32 years old. Keenan Allen, who was just signed to a 1-year contract. No, I understand he still has some juice and he'll be utilized. But Rome Odunze was drafted in the top 10 for a reason, okay? He's going to be a focal point of this offense. Rome and Caleb Williams coming into the NFL together will only lead to more targets for Rome Odunze. We've seen it time and time again. These rookie-to-rookie connections, they build trust with each other because they go into the process together. Okay, they're doing the bear claw together. They're probably going out to eat together. They're texting each other. Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams are. Friendship off the field leads to targets on the field. It's really that easy. And Rome Odunze was hyper-productive in college. Last year, he had 1,500 receiving yards and 13 touchdowns. One of the biggest parts of why Washington even made it to the national championship. And he's got incredible athleticism as well. He's 6'3", 212 pounds, so he's got the size. He runs that 4.4 40-yard dash. His best comparable on PlayerProfiler is Justin Jefferson. He's the first wide receiver per Matt Harmon to have an all-green reception perception chart. One of the best route runners we've ever seen enter the NFL. And we're scared because Keenan Allen is there. No. It's wrong to do that. Maybe for like 2 weeks, Keenan Allen will be ahead of him, but I don't even think that's going to be the case. I really think Rome Odunze is going to early break out and remind us why he was drafted so high, why he was so hyped going into the process, and why him and Caleb Williams are going to be a dangerous weapon combo for their careers. Get Rome Odunze while you still can. Take him at the discount and redraft. Get him in Dynasty for sure. He's going to be a stud, and he's so acquirable right now. Flag planted on Rome Odunze. Let's move on now to Jameson Williams. We'll stick with wide receiver. We'll stick with wide receiver here and go with Jameson Williams. Yeah, at some point, we've got to talk JMO. We've talked about him a lot. It's happening. This is the year that Jameson Williams finally breaks out. His first 2 seasons shortened for reasons we don't have to get into. This year, he's back. And everything we're hearing from the coaches is that his head is in the game, that he's taken humongous strides over the offseason. He's showing up at training camp and everything you really want to see. He ends last season with 2 touchdowns in the biggest game in really Lions history in the NFC Championship. He's a stud and a half, okay? First-round draft capital from Alabama for a reason. Athleticism for days. I understand he got off to a slow start, but this is the year. He fits perfectly in this Detroit Lions offense, and I understand that Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, that those guys need to get their work. But none of those guys operate in the same position and area that Jameson Williams exceeds in. And it's not even like Jameson Williams is just a deep threat. He's actually a very, very good route runner and very good after the catch and some of these shorter intermediate routes and stuff like that. Jameson Williams really is a full wide receiver. And with so many weapons on this Lions offense, Jameson Williams will not be able to be keyed in on. And so he's going to have a ton of explosive plays like he does. And just to kind of bring this home, it doesn't really matter how many targets Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs get. Because if you added up last year's totals, right? Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, all the targets that they got last year only added up to 355 targets. Jared Goff threw the ball 605 times last year. That is 250 targets not allocated. You're telling me that Jameson Williams can at least get 100 of those? Over 100 targets on the Detroit Lions offense with 4.38 speed. Think about that. With explosive ability that we've seen time and time again. His only catch his rookie season was a 41-yard touchdown catch. In fact, he had another catch, a touchdown catch, mind you, that was called back because of holding. Okay? Like, he's a very explosive playmaker on a very explosive offense. Now, going to a team with a ton of available targets. Again, 250 targets available if you add up every single target from Gibbs, Laporta, and Amon-Ra last year. That's a ton. one of the highest pass volume offenses in the league, one of the most, in fact, probably the most athletic wide receiver on this team. He's more athletic than Amon-Ra, but Amon-Ra is just a much harder worker and, you know, a very, very good slot receiver with very, very solid and strong hands. Like, I'm not saying Jameson Williams is a better wide receiver, but he's damn sure more athletic. And he fits perfectly in this offense. He really, really does. His speed, his route running capabilities, the ability after the catch, those are all things that this offense needs. And these are all things that he excels in. And these are all things that he's going to do well this season. So get Jameson Williams while you still can. The breakout is on the way. Flag plant, Jameson Williams. Now, the next question. Oh, and actually, you know what? Before we move on, Dustin, great point. Go ahead and like this video and subscribe to Player Profiler if you're liking this. Go ahead and do that. Support this channel however you can. We appreciate it. Thank you for the reminder, Dustin. That is our producer, by the way. Shout out, Dustin. Let's move on now from Jameson Williams to Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker, guys, his nickname's Dog. K9 is his nickname. Literally dog. And for some reason, people forget how much of a dog this guy is. Kenneth Walker is one of the most athletic running backs in the league. In fact, Kenneth Walker is probably the best pure runner in the league now that Nick Chubb is kind of on his way out. Kenneth Walker is incredible. And we're only a year removed from him literally being the dynasty running back 1 on Player Profiler and Keep Trade Cut. And for some reason, we're fading him because of Zach Charbonnet. Zach Charbonnet, a running back who couldn't even beat out Hassan Haskins at the University of Michigan and had to transfer to the Pac-12 to find any production. Zach Charbonnet, who last year never had more than 10 touches in games where Kenneth Walker played at least 12% of snaps. Do you understand what that means? Kenneth Walker is a true bell cow, regardless of Zach Charbonnet being there. That was just a bad pick by the Seattle Seahawks. Luckily, there's a new regime in town, a regime that didn't draft Zach Charbonnet, a regime who's going to be able to walk in and look at Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet and easily see the difference in athletes that they have here. In fact, Mike McDonald, the new head coach, was the defensive coordinator when Kenneth Walker ran wild over Michigan. He had like 200 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns against Michigan when McDonald was the defensive coordinator. You're telling me that that hasn't burned a hole in this guy's brain? Kenneth Walker is a true stud. Last year, he has number 2 in juke rate, number 3 in evaded tackles, was even 4th in yards per reception. He has back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. He runs a 4.38 40. He's got incredible size. And in fact, every single game that Kenneth Walker has had at least 20 touches, which has been 11 times in his career, in those 11 games, he averages 125 rush yards, 1 touchdown, and at least 20 fantasy points per game. Do you understand the type of efficiency that is? He's an incredible running back. And he's gearing up to not only be a true bell cow, but to be one of the top running backs in fantasy. And you can get him right now as like the RB16. It's ridiculous. Get him while you can. Kenneth Walker in Dynasty, in Redraft, flag planted, K9, the dog, gearing up for a huge 2024 season. Again, get him while you can. Next up, we've got, I think that was number 8. I think we've gone through. I think I've only got 2 more. And I wonder who my next 2 are. I wonder, can anyone in the chat think of 2 players that I've talked about a ton that I haven't mentioned in this Flag Plants episode yet? 2 of them? Anyone in the chat? You know, I've seen them mentioned in one of these mentioned in the chat. Who should we mention first? Come on, guys. Hit me up. You're right, Rubio. You are so right. It is time to talk Ryan Flournoy, ladies and gentlemen. Jamie, Rubio, Scott, everyone. Alex, Mark, Bach says drink. Yes, you're right. We have the Ryan Flournoy drinking game. And how could we have a Flag Plant episode without the Flag Plant of all Flag Plants, Ryan Flournoy? I don't know what I could say that I haven't said probably 1,000 times already on this show, but for those of you that are new, let's start from the beginning. I had the privilege and honor to be Player Profiler's representative at this year's Senior Bowl, and Ryan Flournoy was a huge standout from the beginning, out of nowhere. Had no expectations for this guy at all. Southeast Missouri, but he literally was crushing it. Not only as a route runner, but good hands, good blocker, good everything. This guy has it. And then he does so well at the Senior Bowl that not only I notice it, but the coaches there notice it, the NFL notices it, and actually invited him to go to the NFL Combine. He earned a late Combine invite. He wasn't supposed to go to the Combine. And then what's he do at the Combine? Well, he has an incredible Combine. He measures in at 6'1", 200 pounds, so he has the prototypical size. And then he runs the 4.44 40-yard dash, so he's got the prototypical speed. 93rd percentile burst score, 82nd percentile speed score, finding himself around the top percentiles in every single drill. This guy's incredible, okay? At college, he performed at every single level. In fact, he went D2 in the COVID years. In fact, I'll go even further. He was a 0-star high school recruit. Think about that. He had a very late growth spurt. He was like 5'8", I think, when he graduated high school. So he was 0-star recruit, somehow got to D2. And because of COVID, wasn't really able to see the field or anything and ended up having to go the JUCO route. Unfortunately, in junior college, he tore his ACL his first season, so he had to recover. He recovers, leads his team in junior college in receiving, transfers to Southeast Missouri State, which is Division I, and then 2 straight years in Division I at Southeast Missouri State, leads that team in receiving. In fact, earns all conference honors twice. In fact, going into the 2023 season, The Athletic threw him on the college football freaks list because of his athleticism. You understand the type of athlete we have here? This is a guy who has had to work every step of the way. To go from a 0-star high school recruit to end up in the NFL is a path I've never even fucking heard of. And this guy's done it. His head coach at Southeast Missouri State called him the hardest worker he's ever seen. And it isn't even just on the football field. The dude had a 3.9 GPA. Like, what? Like, this guy has done everything right. Athleticism, brains, the production, draft capital, 6th-round draft pick to the Dallas Cowboys. That's a team that has no wide receiver, too. I don't care what you want to say about Brandon Cooks. I don't care what you want to say about Jalen Tolbert. They're going to start the year ahead of Ryan Flournoy, but they're like, Brandon Cooks, unfortunately, is cooked. Jalen Tolbert has had years now to try to do something and just hasn't. Ryan Flournoy is even getting hyped up by the likes of Chris Carter, and even now CD Lamb has come out and said how good Ryan Flournoy has looked. Highlight reel catches in the preseason, highlight reel catches in training camp. Ryan Flournoy is happening, and I am so thankful for all of you here at Wake and Take for kind of building up the ownership. Like, I've just been watching it all off season. I know a lot of it's come from here. I really do. And it's just exciting stuff. Get Ryan Flournoy while you can. If he's somehow on your waiver wire, I know it sounds crazy to drop a player like drop anyone really for a 6th-round draft pick that's like wide receiver 6 on the current Dallas Cowboys depth chart. Just wait. Seriously, throw him on your taxi squad if you can. Anything, really. Just think about how often this Dallas Cowboys team passes the ball and really think about the wide receivers ahead of him. I know, like, on paper, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert. Actually think about it. Like, use your brain and think about it. Seriously. Ryan Flournoy, this is a player who has produced every single step of the way in college. Every single step of the way through the pre-draft process. And he got really great landing spot. Okay? This guy's going to be awesome. He really is. And I'm very much excited for it. Flag planted on Ryan Flournoy again. Ryan Super Flournoy, by the way, apparently his nickname is Super, so we'll go with Super Flag Plant. Ryan Flournoy, get him on your team while you still can. Apparently, if you Google him, it just brings you here, so that's hilarious. I'm gonna have to check that. But yeah, Ryan Flournoy, probably the biggest flag plant on this show, and we'll probably just go down as the biggest flag plant in history. Crash or burn, crash or succeed, whatever. You know what I tried to say there. No matter what, we're excited about it, even if it doesn't really work out. But it will, because he's a stud. He just is. And finally, the last flag plant, of course, Kyle Pitts. We saw it here in the chat as well when I asked for the predictions. Good job, Scott. Good job, Scott. The final flag plant, of course, has to be Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts is going to finish the year as the tight end 1, guys, and not enough people are talking about it. Not enough people are talking about how good of a year Kyle Pitts is about to have. It starts with how bad Drake London is as a wide receiver. Drake London, sure, he can make good catches, but he's not a good route runner. He struggles with separation, and he has really no athleticism. He's 6'4", runs a 4.54 40-yard dash. Okay, that's not athleticism. It's just not. And last year, he was 80th in target separation, 72nd in route win rate, 75th in true catch rate, 31st in contested catch rate. Drake London's fine. He's a good receiver, but there's a difference between good and great. And there's another difference between even great and becoming an alpha and a focal point of an offense. What Kyle Pitts has going for him is insane athleticism. And the fact that he's just literally a matchup nightmare. I mentioned the fact that Drake London is 6'4" and runs a 4.54 40-yard dash. Well, Kyle Pitts is 6'6" and runs a 4.49. Okay, he's faster, he's taller, and in fact, he's heavier. He weighs 245 pounds to Drake London. He's a literal matchup nightmare, and he's now going into his second year removed from his knee injury, and finally as a quarterback upgrade in Kirk Cousins. And the beauty is Kirk Cousins has led to massive fantasy success for his tight ends over the years, but especially TJ Hawkinson, who's on pace to be the tight end 1 before his injury and has been top 4 in points per game the last 2 seasons with over 125 targets, over 900 receiving yards, and at least 5 touchdowns in back-to-back seasons. Kyle Pitts has insane athleticism, and with the new coaching staff, new quarterback, is gearing up for a huge year. He's a better receiver and a better weapon than Drake London. He's going to be the most targeted weapon on this Falcons team. He's going to finish the year as the tight end 1 and establish himself as the alpha on this Falcons team. You need to get Kyle Pitts while you still can. The beauty of it is he's actually younger. Kyle Pitts is actually younger than Trey McBride and Dalton Kincaid. And he's only 3 months older than Sam Laporta, despite being in the league for 3 years now. He came out so early because of his insane athleticism, got the draft capital that he should have gotten, and produced immediately when he had an actual quarterback, Matt Ryan, throwing the ball. 1,000-yard rookie season. Then in year 2 with Marcus Mariota was doing okay, but then got injured. And last year was less than 100%. It was clear. Kyle Pitts even said it himself. He was still playing through an injury, and he had Desmond Ridder throwing him the ball. It was awful. He led the league last year in air yards, air yard share, average target distance, unrealized air yards, and was only 37th in catchable target rate, 37th in target quality. It was bad. Now he has the upgraded quarterback. Even if it's not Kirk Cousins, it'll be Michael Penix spinning him the ball. The upgraded coaching staff, the athleticism, everything you want in an alpha receiver is Kyle Pitts. And the beauty is it's the tight end position, so you can get an alpha at a scarce position and really set yourself apart for the rest of the league. Get yourself Kyle Pitts in Dynasty. Get yourself Kyle Pitts while you still can in redraft. Plant my flag on Kyle Pitts. Plant your flag there as well. And did you guys think I'd leave it there with only 10 flag plants? No. I got a bonus flag plant for you. End of the show. Marvin Harrison Jr. will be the offensive rookie of the year. Marvin Harrison Jr. will break Puka Nakua's rookie reception record and will be the true alpha in Arizona and find himself as a top 5 wide receiver this year. This is one of the best wide receiver profiles and prospects we've ever seen. And because he skipped out on the pre-draft process, we are unfairly fading him. He has landed in an incredible spot in Arizona. I'm not worried about Trey McBride. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be targeted again and again and again and again and again. And it's going to lead to massive fantasy success in year 1. Get him while you still can. Ladies and gentlemen, flag planted on Marvin Harrison Jr., the offensive rookie of the year over Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. Do we have any questions? Robert wants to add Xavier Worthy to this. A good flag plant, but not one of mine. I wanted him to be kind of true to me. The Tolbert Books Florio is going to be interesting. I'll add an emphasis on this. It'll be interesting for like 3 weeks, and then Ryan Florio will establish himself. It's going to be awesome. I'm just so excited for Ryan Flournoy's season, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be awesome. Any other questions? Man, all of y'all just hyping up your team. I'm just excited for the season. Look at this Scott Fishbowl squad. Good job, Ryan. You need a tight end in a 20-team league. You have Hawkinson, but need a placeholder. Greg Dulcich, Jatavian Sanders, Dawson Knox, or Theo Johnson, Hurst, and Mayer are there too. Jatavian Sanders. My take with Jatavian Sanders, and this fits for this episode, I think that Jatavian Sanders will definitely be the most productive rookie tight end. I do think that Jatavian Sanders will outproduce Brock Bowers and Ben Sinnott. You've got to think of the situation he's in. And I can draw the parallels a little bit to Sam Laporta last year, where Jatavian Sanders was one of the more hyped up tight end prospects heading into the pre-draft process, but then kind of disappointed at the combine, but then got a really good landing spot where they're going to be asked to succeed. There's not a lot of other tight ends on this depth chart, and really the wide receivers there aren't that great either. So there's a lot of opportunity for Jatavian Sanders to establish himself and have early production, similar to what Sam Laporta was able to do last year, with only really Amon-Ra St. Brown taking targets because Jameson Williams was suspended. There's not like a true alpha in Carolina, and the fact that there's not a lot of there's no tight end really ahead of Jatavian Sanders, like they're not good. I think that it's going to lead to early success for him, and he's going to have a lot more targets and production than people are giving credit for. And I'm honestly very surprised where you can get him right now. Like the fact he's going after Ben Sinnott, I think is laughable. Ben Sinnott is behind Zach Ertz. Like I like Ben Sinnott. He was one of my favorite tight ends at the Senior Bowl, but he's in a bad situation to be in as a rookie tight end. He just is. Jatavian Sanders in a really good situation and has some athleticism and the production at Texas with Xavier Worthy and Adonai Mitchell there, right? With Jonathan Brooks there. He was able to produce. So I like Jatavian Sanders a lot as a rookie. Get him while you still can as well. You know, whatever. Flag planting Jatavian Sanders. Screw it. Goff or Tua? Give me Goff. Would you start Javonte or Chuba in half PPR? Chuba. Give me Chuba Hubbard. I am not touching this Denver Broncos backfield. That's another flag plant, okay? I am avoiding this Denver Broncos backfield like the plague. I don't want a single one of them. I do not trust a single one of them. I will put them on my bench until I see what this looks like. Chuba Hubbard this week, week 1 in particular, has no one. He's going to be a true bell cow. Whereas Javonte's got Audric Estime to worry about, Jaleel McLaughlin to worry about. Even Blake Watson somehow made the active roster. Clearly, the Broncos don't want Javonte to be a bell cow. Chuba's going to get a lot more volume. Just roll with him. Would you rather have Tyler Boyd or Jordan Mason? Tyler Boyd. As I'm gonna keep saying it, Jordan Mason, I'm not really getting excited about. I know that that's everyone's favorite waiver wire ad right now, but Christian McCaffrey's back at practice. And if Christian McCaffrey even does get hurt, like just play this game. Is Jordan Mason really going to be heavily used? No, we've seen it before with the 49ers. They always use a committee, and they give Deebo Samuel a ton of opportunity. Just let someone else have Jordan Mason. Seriously, if you want a 49er, look at Isaac Guerrero, who ended up returning from his hamstring injury in his back. He's actually got some explosiveness and some youth. I agree, Alex. The second it gets cold, Keenan Allen will have a hamstring injury. I also feel like Palmer is going to be pretty consistent, even if it's not great. Vidal or Fant, I already answered that one. Vidal. Should you drop Tank Bigsby for Demario Douglas or Dontavian Wicks? Yeah. Get Demario Douglas. Demario Douglas looks to be the wide receiver 1 in New England, at least for a short amount of time. I'm not really worried about Dontavian Wicks. I'm too much of a Christian Watson fan to like Dontavian Wicks. It's going to take an injury for him to see the field, unfortunately. So, yeah, just go ahead and get some Demario Douglas on your squad. And I believe... Oh, should we be concerned about Hassan Haskins being a former Harbaugh player? Yes and no, but I mean, Hassan Haskins has some of the off-the-field issues too, and I honestly think that he would have done something in Tennessee if he actually was good. Unfortunately, Hassan Haskins was someone I actually really liked. In fact, up to like this year, he was one of my guys on PlayerProfiler because I'm a Michigan fan, because he was incredible at Michigan. But sometimes that just doesn't translate to the NFL. And I think the fact that he was beaten out by the likes of I think Trenton Cannon or whatever in Tennessee is just You know, I'm not really too worried about it. Kamani Vidal is definitely a better running back than him. And I believe that should do it. Jerome Ford or Addison in the flex. Give me Jerome Ford. Not really. I don't really want to trust Sam Darnold's weapons unless it is Justin Jefferson. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. By the way, I'm sorry. I don't think I'm answering defense special teams questions at all this year. I'm just not. I see them in the chat. I don't play defense special teams leagues if I can, and I damn sure don't want to put my advice on it because that shit is a total crapshoot. I appreciate you coming to me for support there, but I literally flip a coin. Just flip a coin. You know, I don't get it. I don't understand it, and I'm not even going to pretend to understand it. I like my offensive players, you know, and I'm sorry. But anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. And make sure you find the Wake and Take podcast via a link in the description. You all Have a terrific Tuesday and a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to PlayerProfiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.